Okay. John Cup's gonna be here.
Keeping an eye out, not quite counting. We can do the countdown. 10. You let us 10.
There we are.
All right, you want to fly? Call this meeting to order. We're all rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Rick, can you call the roll?
Yeah. Mike Naturkis.
Here.
Matt Bogira.
Here.
CC Johnston.
Here.
John Cups.
Here.
We do have a quorum.
All right. And we've got some minutes from September 21st.
I read them and I think they're okay.
Yep. Good.
Motion.
I'll make the motion
See,
to approve.
I'll second. Very good. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Excellent. And the bills? We got stuff with the bills today. Like
Two people who were out of practice. Everything I looked at looked fine.
Me too.
I'll make a motion that we pay the bills.
Good. Second that. All right. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right. Citizens comment time. If someone's here who'd like to say something to the council that's not on the agenda, this is your time.
This is Dixon from just outside the city limits.
All right. No comment? Oh, Ms. Becker?
500 West Summit. I've talked about it before, but my neighbor on Sargent Street has 15 yard signs. And she does not have a wide lot. It's a pretty narrow lot, with 15 signs. It's ridiculous.
It's a lot.
Have you seen it?
Could you speak a little louder, please?
Yard signs,
Yard signs, political art, yard signs.
Oh,
Yes.
but-
15.
Oh, I think I know what you mean.
Okay, everybody knows that place. It's ridiculous. If we have requirements for downtown, businesses, what their signs can be and what they can't be, and blah, blah, blah. What is it? Why can't we have something in people's yards with 2 or 3, but not 15?
Mayor, I think Jeff has a good answer for that question. Jeff, you want to just speak as
Yes,
to
sir.
Sure. So technically, when you look at our zoning code, we don't permit any political signs. The only yard sign that a property owner can have is a nameplate for their address. We didn't believe that that was the intent of the city, to not permit people to enjoy some level of freedom of speech in their political beliefs. So we have not been overly administering any zoning enforcement in that regard. We do have it on the agenda once the election is passed to look at that with fresh eyes and come up with some exception from our zoning code that would let people have some political signs. And in doing that, we can then identify the number of signs, construction material, size of signs that we would do. But we felt that at this point in time, to go to select property owners in the middle of an election and tell some people you can do this, you can't do that, would be inappropriate right now. But it is on our radar to address.
If you're ready, I have 4 things that I want to talk to and let the mayor know. So the first one was political signs, and we have received several complaints of, this is Kyle, for those of you on YouTube. We have several complaints of political signs being in the right of way. And so we put it on the city's Facebook page. We also put it on the city's website that probably over the next week, we will be removing any signs that are within the right of way. And that is, if there's a sidewalk and a curb, they can't be between the sidewalk and the curb. If there is no sidewalk, it has to be 8 foot off of the edge of the roadway. So over the next week, our department is going to go through, and any signs that are in that right of way, we are going to be removing them. We probably are just going to set them back to the right of way. We won't take them in because I think we need one of our dump trucks to do it. And I'm not going to ask, but if you do have a campaign sign that you know of, and that includes people on the internet, if you could remove them, if you see them, I'd appreciate it. But we will be going out in the next week and doing it.
Excuse me, Kyle, can you have you whoever's on the phone?
People on the phone, you need to mute your telephone. We're getting a lot of feedback.
It's also on YouTube too. We're doing
Yeah, you also need to mute your YouTube volume.
There you
Thank you.
There we go.
All right, so we touched on political signs. We're going to be enforcing that over the next week or so, just pull them out so that we can take care of those complaints we receive. And that is in the city code. 2, 3 things I want to touch about is we're getting a lot of complaints about speeders all over town. And so I've asked the officers, not necessarily write tickets, but we are going to be taking a more aggressive stance on speeding. We've gotten complaints on several streets. So I just want to make the public aware of that, basically, that we got to do something. And so we're going to be taking a little bit more aggressive stance on that. Executive order on mask and on reference to the executive order. Because of what happened with the Michigan Supreme Court of Appeals, in the past, we took a stance that we would assist the health department in enforcing the mask regulation. As it stands right now, I've spoken with Victor that we don't have that teeth right now, but the Michigan Association of Chiefs of Police, they're in contact with the Attorney General to see what our stance is going to be. At City Hall and at our office, we're still going to continue to wear the mask because we feel it's our best interest. But as far as enforcing masks in the open public, we have to tread lightly on that. So just to put that out there. And then the last thing is, we had a department meeting last week with all the officers, and we're going to be going to 12-hour shifts at the beginning of the year. It's not going to cost the city any more money. I think it's going to give us better coverage, and the younger officers, it gives us like every other weekend off. And so they're all excited about it. I think it'll help us retain the officers a little bit. So I think it's a positive for the city and for our officers. So that's it.
Mayor, we also have in your packet, Salvation Army. The request came in right after we put this packet out, but to ring bells at the IGA store from November 27th through December 19th. And I believe they have a representative from the IGA, Salvation Army.
Amy Evans, Salvation Army. So it's Friday and Saturday only from Black Friday through Christmas. I've outlined the dates in the letter. Also, we're not quite sure if your DDA has decided whether or not they're going to do the open house like they do every year, but we typically bring with Emmett County Realtors downtown. So if that goes through, if we could have permission to do that as well.
Yeah.
And we will be providing protective gear for everyone, disposable masks, gloves, hand sanitizer, and also be sanitizing the kettle and remaining at a distance from the door.
So I talked to this with police chief night and, no problem. I guess we do this every year.
Yeah,
So,
we've done
It's a
it
good thing.
the last 10 years, 8 years of that, so you're good. All right. Any other citizens comment before we get going? Any citizens comment on the telephone? Anything on YouTube, Andy?
Nothing.
All right. Before we get into the city manager section, I wanted to jump ahead and do the, my boards and commissions. We've got a high schooler, Jake Krieger, that's volunteered to be on the planning commission. There's Jake. Thank you for volunteering.
Thank you.
Hope you'll do a great job. Get those guys going in the right direction. Make Harbor Springs a better place.
Yes, thank you.
All right.
They're an absolutely, I'll speak on their behalf, they're an absolutely awesome family with the utmost respect for everybody, so I think he'll be a great addition.
Thank you.
All right. So thank you.
Can you vote with the board to make?
Oh, yeah, I guess we gotta vote on it. Yeah, so I'll make a motion that we accept Jake to the planning commission as a student representative.
I will second that.
All right. Need a roll call?
Yep. Mike Naturkis.
Yep.
It's been a while since I've done one. John Cups.
Yes.
Matt Bogera,
Yes.
CC Johnston.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's my honor to.
All right. Glad to have you. All right, I guess if there's nothing else, I'll turn it over to Victor for the city manager section.
So just one adjustment to the city manager section is that we'll be doing the manager's report and before we get to the closed session. All right, the first agenda item is Mr. Bob Kalszewski is here from the Cemetery Commission to just give an update on the past few months of what's been going on and status updates.
Yeah, this will be my second time of giving the report of the status of the cemetery. The city of Harbor Springs, along with myself from the city of Harbor Springs and Dick Schiller from Little Traverse Township and Bob Sanford from West Traverse Township, are the board of directors for Lakeview Cemetery. And part of that property is a cemetery belongs to Holy Childhood. But they are basically part of the whole footprint. We meet about 3 times a year. A couple of things we've had to do this year. You're aware that Kolinsky's closed their doors, so we transitioned to Marty Kupa to do our financial managing and payrolls and all that sort of stuff. And it went very, very smoothly, and we're doing really well. Our audit for 2019 came in really good. Couple of comments they always make about being such a small entity. They feel like we've got too few people involved with the money. There's too much potential for things to happen. So we changed a couple of things that make a little more oversight into that area. The audit came out very, very well, very clean. We have a fund balance of $191,000. The revenues were in excess of budget by $19,000 due to increasing grave openings, sales of lots, and the property taxes that we collect. And that, that's over what we had budgeted, and that looks really good. But also, our expenses were underneath budgeted amount by almost $26,000. So we came out looking really good with where our budget sits. And it's just because of the way that we budget and also the way that our manager sexton, John Weber, pays real good attention to what he has to spend. The major thing we have going right now is there's a project in the works to put a completely brand new fence around the whole of the cemetery, all 3 sides. The fence line that butts with Prairie Farm Village wouldn't be touched, but the 3 other sides would be, and people approached us about doing that, and we're in the process of doing that. Over the last couple of years, we've purchased almost all new equipment, so we've got some really good equipment. Skinner's in Pickford's been very, very good to us, giving us some great deals. We were able to sell some of our used equipment for really good prices. So all things considered, the audit looked really good. John Weber and John Peters keep the cemetery itself looking very, very good. We've had a number of trees removed this year, and I don't think that's over yet. By and large, the cemetery looks good. It's clean and well presented. We have a great piece up there. Some people, I don't think if they haven't had to use it, aren't aware that it's there. But we have a lot of people who use it to exercise or walk their pets, and that's wonderful to have people out there. So that's basically the situation with the Lakeview Cemetery from the Harbor Springs point of view.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Bob.
Bob.
Moving on, think about item B is Parks and Recreation presentation. So as you know, earlier this year, we hired Danny McDermott to serve as our Parks and Recreation Director. And he's going to do a little presentation about what we've accomplished.
Disclaimer, when I've been on the job, and I was quarantining and coming to work. I did walk my dog at Harbor Springs, peek the windows. But anyways, going into this year, as a talk to people, on attendance at parks, I did different times, sometimes in midday it came in accomplish. Would have been more, but I inventoried in cities, parks and facilities. So our wood recreation operations, some improvements. I did suggestions and improvements right off the bat. Develop both internal and external relationships. Meet with park users in the parks. Like I mentioned, I did a lot of that and will continue to do that. Supervise park staff. Made improvements to park buildings and grounds. Coordinated recreational programming activities and conducted city inspections and had an ongoing work list, whether it be monthly, weekly, daily, and also worked with my coworkers here at City Hall. So I started with trying to make a big splash, trying to improve some of our facilities. You guys made an investment that this is really important, that we pay more attention to our parks, and I wanted to make sure that our community felt the same way. And we got a Parks and Recreation Director. What is that person going to do? What's going to happen? I don't want anybody to think I'm, a suit and tie person that will be sitting inside all the time. My job's out in the field. So I went at it. Most of this work, all this work you see here is just done by me. So this is our beach building. I started here because it's got most of our users, and it also has a lot of our locals and visitors all using it at one time. And one thing I'll mention is it wasn't just to beautify the buildings as we go through these slides. It's also preventive maintenance. This building and the skate park in particular had a lot of loose boards. This one had cracks, so if you didn't, I patched all the cracks, sanded them, painted them. If you didn't, water gets in there, breaks it up, and it ends up falling, and we're put. And the hope that will on them when they interact with their guests. And it worked well. I think that both our beach guards and our skate park employees really motivated this year, which is a good thing because it had a potential to be a pretty hard summer for all of us. Again, this is just a different side of the beach building. And the inside, wow, the inside was pretty bad. Kind of scary. To the left, obviously, is before, the right's after. I'm pretty sure that Victor picked out that color on the inside of the bathroom. It looks different on a swatch than it does on a wall, but it did brighten it up, and it kind of had that Florida beach atmosphere. It came out pretty nice.
Someone on the phone needs to mute their cell phone.
YouTube.
Really affected this area, though. The area where the playground equipment was, half was underwater, so we had to make a decision right away, being that it was unsafe, was to pull the playground equipment. Also, because of the high water, it really contracted that area on the beach where it was really hard for people to use. So we had a suggestion to remove the hedges. Oh, so we removed the playground equipment, and then we removed the hedges and we replaced it with a white picket fence. And it ended up being a really good project. A lot of people eat their lunch down there all the time. I was at the beach a lot. Usually when the one side fills up first, or all the cars are there, people who come down to eat their lunch were parked looking at hedges. But now really that gave a pretty awesome view. In fact, it's one of our best views because you can see the whole bay, which is very nice. And it also made an area open up. The rentals are about there from the parking lot. We replaced that. This is Ford Park. Ford Park, older facility, probably. When you started over the winter times, the snow went out the field, and I did it. So we really worked on this. We painted all the walls, and the floors, just the new coat. The mirrors aren't there now. College, probably one of everything blue. The signs that we have around town, got brown, and wanted to paint everything up. Instead of wanted to paint everything up uniform, plus you're just bad shape. They're longer and they're always in one and rain at the base. Push them over, so we replaced the sign, paint them. And that was that old park, replaced what wasn't over to the side. Okay, new the operation programming, as you know, is changing every day. So we really weren't able to get as far as we wanted to. Well, towards the end of summer, pushed by somebody who wanted to do something, Victor and I went there, and we wanted really kind of gear towards at least one of her sessions because one's well 30. People came in at noon. So we opened from 10, and then on weekends, personally. So a couple other things. After the beach is beach is about 30 bad. We do very clean. So I think that was worked well. And also shift report work that day is really important. And some attendance. I don't have any interviews to go up. So now as we go, we try to also report complaints, which is awesome. So now I'm down to like this, they have a complaint, we're getting down. So we have to pay 5 or 6 people about this, do something about it. Also, what needed to be repaired, what previous to that. So Marina Park, we installed some shade sails or park from the skate park they created, which was one person. Did some, they clean it up. They come in at 7. Clean up the food, the bathrooms, move on next park. We would do the parks, Marina Park. Employee after doing their tasks, the things that they would do. After they're doing their tasks, the things that they would do. And not put a bonus. So make some kind of new, and then kind of the screen around the bathroom. We did the bowl there.